Today is August 15th, which is important because today marks the first day of a year where Muni in San Francisco is completely free for all youth under the age of 19. And lucky for me, that includes me. And also because it's August 2021, the San Francisco cable cars are currently running completely for free. So today, I'm gonna go take a visit. Got to the station 5 minutes early and my train's already here. Let's hope it doesn't leave without me. Made it to San Francisco right on time. Next up to catch a Muni to the cable car. Now at Embarcadero, a station I haven't been to in over 2 years, I think. It's kind of nice to be back. So I'm at Embarcadero because this is the terminus of the California Line cable car. Unfortunately, it looks like I wasn't the only one with this idea today because there are many people lined up at the terminus. So instead of getting on at the rather crowded Market Street terminus, what I think I'm going to do is hop on the one trolley bus up to the less frequently used terminus of the California Line cable car.
Follow.
Off the bus, now it's time to go find the cable car. So, as I suspected, there is no one waiting at the upper terminus of the California Line cable car. Lucky for me. So, something cool about the California Street cable car line is that this line is frequently used by commuters getting from here near Van Ness to the financial district in the heart of San Francisco. So this line is more often used by commuters than it is tourists, which is what the other two cable car lines are more frequently used for. So I alighted here at the Diamond, which is arguably the most famous part of San Francisco's cable cars. This is where two lines converge, the California Street line and the Powell line, I believe. So they have a diamond here, and since cable cars use cables under the ground, this causes a unique sort of confusion, because the cable cars, they grip onto the cables, and then they shuttle it across. That's how they power themselves. But when there's a diamond where the two tracks cross, that causes a problem, because the grip will interfere with the other cable if it's not taken up. So I kind of have something set up here as a little demonstration of how the diamond works. So this is how a cable car would traverse a diamond. Let's imagine that this short track is the California Street line. So this is the one that traverses the diamond normally. The cables are laid out with the California line on top and the Powell lines on the bottom. So the California line grips the cable and continues normally. So nothing happens with that one except they have to watch to make sure trains aren't going on across. However, for the Powell lines, it's slightly different because, as you see here, the cables are laid along the bottom. Now, if this were a better demonstration and I had better rubber bands, then I would be able to show that the cable is actually like forced downwards under the crossing, so that cars gripping the cable can just make the transition more smoothly. But here we are. Anyway, for the Powell line, trains grip the cable, and then they have to let go of the cable at one point. And then they have to coast across the crossing while the cable runs underneath. And then they have to re-grip the cable in order to maintain enough speed to, continue their journey. And this is why in the pavement there are special let go and pick up markings for the cable cars to know, or the cable car operators to know where to pick up the cable. And this is just how the diamond works. So after doing that bit at the diamonds, I was going to catch another train down, but then two trains were completely full and skipped me, so I'm giving up waiting and just walking now. My next stop is to visit the San Francisco's Cable Car Museum. It is nice to see that some things just never change. Lucky for me, the Cable Car Museum was only 2 blocks away, and here I am. The Cable Car Museum is also the powerhouse of all 4 cables serving the streets of San Francisco. In addition to the main room showing all the cables and their main winches, there's also a downstairs section that shows the cables as they leave the museum and go through their routes. So the museum has several exhibits talking about how exactly the cable car works. Here you see the gripper, how it grips onto the cable, and how it raises up the cable when it's gripping onto it. And there's just several diagrams about how it works. Here this shows how when the cable car comes to curves, it has to let go of the cable so that the cable can make the turns. Sometimes they do it like this, and sometimes they have a bunch of smaller pulleys. So here I have a demonstration of how a curve works on the cable car system. This is what's called a let-go curve. This is one of the simpler demonstrations. These curves are only used in downhill settings, so what happens is the cable car will be gripping the cable, and then when it reaches the curve, it'll let go and coast around the curve before it reaches a certain point and picks up the cable again. For curves that are ascending, it's slightly different and a little more confusing that I can't build out of Lego, but what happens is the car will grip the cable, and there will be a set of pulleys along the curve that keep the cable running and taut when when there aren't trains crossing over it. But when a cable car wants to ascend a curve, it'll actually pull the cable up out of the pulley slightly, bring it across, and make the turn, and then the cable will go back to its normal position with, freeform. So this is how the cable car system manages curves. So at the terminus of the California line, they use a switchback style, which means that the cable just goes and then loops back around. Same applies for the turnaround. It's used on the Powell Street lines. So the cables that power the cable cars are essentially just 4 gigantic loops that loop around the entire city and run underneath the ground. It's an amazingly complex system, and frankly, it's an engineering marvel that I'm unqualified to talk about. But I am qualified to go ride it, so that's what I'm going to spend the rest of my day doing. If you're ever in San Francisco and want to visit the Cable Car Museum, it's free, it's interesting, and I recommend a visit. Right off of the very crowded train, and now we're at the Bay Street Terminus, I believe. And here there's something also very cool, a cable car turntable. So because the cable cars on this line are single-ended, at each end they require a turntable. This turntable is also very interesting because it is human-powered. That's how you turn a cable car around. So right now I'm walking to the other terminus of the third and last cable car line that I have to ride. It's a couple blocks away near Fisherman's Wharf. Too many people. Pass. So because the third and last cable car line was just so crowded, I don't think I'm gonna ride that today. And instead I'm gonna start making my way home. And since I'm in Fisherman's Wharf right now, the best way to do that is hopping on the F Market and Wharves. So the F is operated by these restored PCC cars, and this one is painted in Detroit colors. One of the best parts about the F Market and Wharves is open windows. Back at Embarcadero, time to go underground. Off at Civic Center to transfer to BART. At Millbrae, I was very lucky and got a new type for my ride. Now that I'm at Millbrae, I have half an hour to wait, and then my train home will be here. Well, thanks for watching until the end of my adventure on the cable cars. They were crowded, and I probably won't do it again, but yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.